Okay, this is my audience.
To Albuquerque Public Schools. Please take your designated seats. Do not talk.
No need for creativity here. Just fill in bubbles.
No colors.
No drawings.
No poetry.
No music.
No
individualism. Just a checklist of bulleted statements as we work our way down the list.
We seem more and more like sheep, bouncing from standard to standard. We are the antithesis to this new era of standardized retardation.
Slowing down the way you think. Every classroom comes with a lockdown kit, fully equipped with a bucket for you to shit in. Regurgitate everything you've learned onto the answer sheet.
Do not look at any test but your own. No eating, no drinking.
No cell phone.
No coughing, no sneezing, no laughing, no breathing. Just quiet. Eyes on your test.
Fill in the bubbles completely.
My standards don't consist of being put into a wooden desk with my hands bent to fit the curve of a pencil.
Open your test to page 1. You may begin.
Our intelligence is measured with the number written across our foreheads.
There are things we need to know to live, but the system will never know that we've learned them. Right?
Hello, my name is Amber Hill, and I'm going to be discussed why standardized tests should be eliminated. So, I'm an education major who has had to work with students that have to take standardized tests, and so I get to see the frustrations that they have to deal with. I've read articles about the limitations in the use of achievement tests, disadvantages of these tests, and how test anxiety has affected these students. So, it's hard for me to believe that a packet of questions like these can cause such funds to be cut at schools and educational methods to be changed, but they do. So, I'm going to be discussing with you test anxiety, school funding, and how teachers teach to the test. So, test anxiety is a psychological condition in which people experience extreme distress and anxiety in testing situations. So, according to a Global Post article, self-concept is strongly related to perceived intellectual abilities. So, when students score poorly on tests, then they tend to have low self-esteem. They think they can't do it. And this also affects teachers' teaching styles. They believe that they are poor teachers and that their students are incapable of performing the correct way. And it becomes even more frustrating when they know that their jobs are on the line. And Global Post also said that if scores are low, teachers may begin to lose motivation and try to help students succeed. An article in Washington Post talked about a teacher who was also a mother who had a son who all through elementary school suffered with test anxiety. And by the time he was in 6th grade, he was suffering throughout the whole year. It affected every assignment that he turned in to the point to where she had to have him opted out of standardized tests. So, an article for the Center of Evaluation Standards and Student Testing stated, much of the variance in test scores is controlled by factors outside of the direct control of schools, such as ethnicity, parental education, and income. So many parents don't have the knowledge or education to help their students, and that's why it becomes frustrating. They have to deal with their students not sleeping at night, crying because they don't want to go to school, and not eating. So now that we know a little about test anxiety and the frustration it causes, let's talk about the funding that is being cut because of these test scores. So Global Post also stated that schools with poor test scores are at risk of losing federal and state funding. So it doesn't make sense that state cuts the funding for students that score poorly. They need the money in order to get more resources. But instead the money is cut, which means that the resources are cut. So how are the standardized tests affecting teaching in the classroom? Balanced politics describe the best teachers as being those that connect with their students and inspire them to want to learn. But because teachers are having to teach to the test, they lose all creativity. Their teaching becomes strictly curriculum-based, and they don't know how to appeal to the different students' needs. They can't differentiate instruction. So an article posted by Standardized Testing English 300 says, standardized testing affects the curriculum being taught in schools. It affects how teachers teach their students and usually affects how much meaningful learning takes place in the classroom. The students aren't having to use critical thinking skills if the test is multiple choice. So, I hope that I was able to shine light on some of the reasons why standardized tests should be eliminated. I talked about test anxiety, school funding being cut, and teachers teaching to the test. So some things that we could do to try to eliminate standardized testing is, first of all, read an article called What You Can Do to Fight Standardized Testing by Alfie Kohn. You can also talk to your friends and your neighbors about the negative effects and the disadvantages of standardized tests. And you should also attend school board meetings and voice your opinion on what you think about standardized tests. Remember that children are our future. We want to make sure that they are knowledgeable individuals and not just good test takers.